Hello everyone, and this is a preview of the Pokemon that I'll be sculpting and showing for you today in this lecture, and I hope you enjoy. So without any further ado, let's get started. Hello, Jonathan Gillette here, giving you another tutorial. I got a viewer request to do the Pokemon, what's his name? Who's this guy? What's his name? Rhyperior? Yeah, one of my subscribers gave me a request to do Rhyperior, and so I took it this far, but there are some complications in my video, but hopefully hopefully I think I figured out what I have to do to fix that, and yeah, I'm just gonna take it from scratch. Yeah, alright, so just gonna delete this because there might be some things I can mention and say about it. Yeah, let's just take it from the top. Take it from the top. Okay. Alright, so we're starting off with a 3D cylinder. And then, right now, first of all, I highly recommend that everyone uses a custom menu, which I have here on the right side, and also use hotkeys. Assigning hotkeys is easy. All you have to do is hold Control Alt, go into the brush menu, and then in any brush, you just hold Control Alt, and then you click on a brush, and then you press a key that you want to assign it to, and then it will assign it to that key. If that key already has, a key assigned to it, it'll give you the option to overwrite, or it'll give you the option to overwrite or to not overwrite. So basically, we're going to get started. And the first thing you do when you get a basic primitive is you make it the Polymesh 3D, which I have in this shortcut. Made it so much quicker than having to go into the main menu and pick it. Right now it's basic block, and it'll be easier to model on. I plan on Dynameshing this, and before I Dynamesh it, I'm going to be smoothing out these curves, because that could be a problem when it comes time to smoothing out all that, and you don't want to have to deal with all that. So I'm just going to smooth it up real nice. And right here, the basic primitives in ZBrush, for some reason they gave them to us unopened, so all of the edges are like open. I guess for UV purposes they have it like that. The basic primitives UVs are probably made so that they're laid out like a square, so it's best that they didn't have that tapered off. But a quick solution with this would be to fill the top of that. Most of the time I like to show both sides of my mesh, so I'm going to click both sides, and now you can see the inside and the outside. That's also in the shortcut. The shortcut is in the geometries option, I believe. No, in the display option. Let's see if we can find it. Display properties, double. So if I click double, it'll turn it on and off. Awesome. Now I'm just going to go to fill hole. The function requires the mesh to be partially hidden. What was that? Okay. Alright, so I'm going to have to redo that. Some funky stuff going on there. So I'm going to smooth it, basically, and then double sides. Awesome. Now I'm going to close hole. Oh, I pressed delete hidden, and that kind of like messed everything up when I wanted to press close holes. Put those two right next to each other. Then now I'm going to subdivide this a couple of times before I Dynamesh it, because the smoothing process. The Dynamesh looks better when it doesn't have squares on it. I always subdivide before I Dynamesh, so I don't have little squares that I have to smooth out everywhere. Now this looks like a pretty smooth, good start. The basic shape of the creature is like an egg shape, I believe. Yeah, it's like an egg shape. Look at it from the front view, look at it from the side view, it's an egg shape. So that would be like the first shape. I just look at things in general shapes. Alright, now it's time for the Dynamesh. Dynamesh, click no, because if I click yes, then it's going to turn down to the lowest subdivision, and it's going to preserve all of the subdivision details. But we don't really care about those subdivisions because we only subdivided so that we can have it smooth for when we mesh. So we're not going to keep the subdivisions. Now when I look at it, it's very dense and desirable results. Give us enough geometry so that we can sculpt with. And now I'm going to start sculpting. As you can see here, I changed the alpha channel so that it looks like this when I smooth it and work with it. I also turned down the intensity a bit because this is the default brush that it gives you, and this is the look that it gives. It's very jaggedy. You know, it needs to give you more smoothing. You'd have to do a lot more smoothing in order to get the look that you want. So I changed the alpha and I use this because it gives you basically kind of the same feel to it, but it doesn't make you have to smooth out so much. There's always this tool, Alpha 1, that's close to the draw brush, but it's not really a build up brush, it's more of like a draw brush. In there you just start drawing. I don't like to use that for the building, so I'm using the clay build brush instead of the draw brush, using a tablet, of course, to make everything go by faster. As you can see, when I smooth that, it smoothed out pretty strong because I switched it from the smooth brush to the smooth strong brush. The smooth strong brush smoothes everything out much quicker. And to get the smooth strong brush, you press the comma button, you go into the brushes in the menu, and then you go into smooth strong right here, smooth strong, and then you click yes, okay. Then now you have the smooth strong tool assigned. Yeah, so now we're working on getting an egg shape. So just filling that in, getting a general egg shape. We're not really too worried about smoothing it right now, or getting those proportions correct. Who cares what it looks like right now? You're just gonna have to do all the manual detail work later on. And I like ZBrush for R5 because it has the see-through capabilities for you to see through the mesh. Let me just look at the general shape, line it up a little bit so I can get the general facial proportion details. Looking at it from the side now, and basically just getting the general shape and form really quickly, just roughing out general shapes. Maybe I should mark points where the arm comes in, mark points where the leg gets drawn in there. Take off the see-through. The see-through is kind of confusing, so I only use it sometimes. I normally, most of the time, I just look at it on the side corner of the screen, and then I have this also out right here, so that way nothing's in the way. Then I basically work most of the time like this, so that way I'm comfortable. I can work most fast and efficiently without having to worry or be bewildered or just be confused basically by the see-through feature. It's cool and all, but I just get confused when I'm flipping and working fast throughout the entire scene. I see he has a more circular bottom body, and I kind of want to delete these legs so that I can better fill in that body. And don't worry about the basic form and trying to get it all right now. Just you see the shape that you need to make. You just go for it. You just put it in there and you do it. Yeah. All of this is basically just problem solving. You see a problem, fix it. Yeah, and we're back. for my video to work properly, I have to like save it in increments and stuff like that. Alright, yeah, basically you just get the general shapes, fill it in, and basically after you get the general shapes, then you use the grab tool to, then I use the grab tool to, you know, push and pull, get the form right. But for right now, at this beginning stage, I don't really care too much about, or let myself worry too much about the, you know, the general shapes. Yeah, he picked quite the Pokemon to work on. But with these methods and techniques that I will show, it's going to show that pretty much any Pokemon will be easy to make because it's all like pretty much general shapes. I like to do Pokemon because it makes me feel good when I finish. Makes me feel fast. Now I'm going to use the curve tube to draw out the arms. I'm going to flatten this out a little bit with the trim dynamics tool. Trim dynamics tool to flatten out the arm part a little bit. Yeah, and then I'm going to draw out the arms. Again, all these are used with shortcuts. I'm going to change my brush size so that the arm comes out to that length. I'm going to zoom out because that's another way of changing your brush size, so that when I have this red, you see the brush size radius turns green when you zoom out, and I zoom out so that, or I can just change it here. You roughly want it to cover the whole entire thing, so that when you move it, then it moves everything. Because if it's small like this, then it's going to bend everything and it's going to get all wacky, and I don't really want that. So I just make it as big as possible so that I can form the general shapes without having any issues. And I'll just click in the empty space to delete that curve. And now I'm going to angle the camera in a way so that when I draw it again, it roughly gets the general shape that I want. So now that when I look at it from the side, it generally looks like a rough shape of the angle of his arms. So now I'm going to increase my brush size so I can increase the thickness on this thing, and then push it down some, and then to confirm that, I will click on the empty space and delete the curve. Now I'm going to use the insert sphere brush to create those legs now, and now I'll have a little bit more control over how his legs are shaped by using the move tool and just pulling that out there and forming it and pushing it in his body, pushing into the contours of how I think his leg looks. I don't really have all that great references right now. Do a quick save because ZBrush has that function now, so I don't really have to save a project out yet. So I'm just gonna use the clay build brush to pull out some form right here so I can insert a sphere and basically get that general shape of the foot out. Zoom in some so that I get a smaller tip on the bottom part, so it's like more of a taper to the bottom. Yeah, I got it a little bit. And then just use the clay brush to get more of a general form. I see it's the bottom of it, but it looks like it's not, so I'm just going to press the R button and then just rotate this bad boy right here so it's kind of facing the bottom. Then I'll use the flatten trim dynamics to flatten the bottom a little bit more. It's not flattened completely. We'll worry about that later. So I'm gonna angle it up a little bit more and push it to the back some more. Alright. Probably should select that some more. Then hold Control and Shift and select the bottom part. Draw the line going down below it, and then use the press W for the move tool and then slide it this way. Makes it all wonky, but I can move it some so that it's like in the center some, you know what I mean? The center mass of his body. That's what we're trying to get. So I'm just gonna move the legs back some, and yeah, I see now that I want to make it more round, so I'm just gonna hold control and just click on the empty space so I can change the mask, and basically just start forming his body a little bit. Take this opportunity to form his face a little bit and get that like little shape in there, make it a little bit more wide, form his arms a little bit in there, and yeah, now we're getting somewhere. His tail looks like a big long stick thing with like a loop like that. But okay, alright, so now we're going to zoom out and we're going to push it to the center of the mesh, and then now we got to change the brush size, make the brush size bigger, and then now we're going to use a little trick I like to use, not the plugins. We're going to go into the strokes menu, we're going to go into the curves. Where is the size? The size is right here. We're going to click yes on the size, and we're going to change this ramp the opposite way, not put it down all the way because it's not, his tail isn't tapering too much. And now when we click on the curve, his tail updates with the curve property. We're going to put a little slope right here so that the curve tapers a little bit better, because it seems like it's a pretty slim tail. Can't really tell, but not too concerned. And now I'm just going to zoom in and adjust. Alright, and any further adjustment I'm going to do after I delete this tail. I click an empty space to delete the tail, use the grab tool, pull it in there more. And now it just seems like it's a flat piece that is the tip of his tail. So I'm just gonna, that's pretty awesome design. So I'm just gonna, I know exactly what I'm gonna do for that. I'm gonna use the curve quad fill tool, and with the curve quad fill tool, I'm going to change my brush to the thickness that I want it to be, and I'm just gonna draw basically, yeah, and that's gonna fill it in there. So I'm just gonna change the brush size of my curve and try to round that off in there a little bit better than that. Get a little quirky, but when I Dynamesh, I'll fix all of these problems. This needs to be thicker, so I'm going to click on empty space to delete the curve, press W and click on the empty space, because the new translate tools in ZBrush, WER, now if you click on a surface, it'll go to the position of the surface, like line it up. Like if it's a flat surface or it's a curved surface, like if I click here, it'll curve to the contour of that face I click. So if I click here, which is flat, it'll go straight out. And I wanted to do that because if I pull this out and I hold shift, it's going to make it thicker. Awesome. Now it seems like it's somewhere in there, somewhere in the center, near the bottom a little bit in this picture. And look at it from far away, give it some perspective so I can see. You see that perspective changed how I thought how big it was supposed to be. I think it's too big right now, and it is, but not by as much as I thought. So if I turn down this much, and then I go into, it still seems a little too big to the picture, but if I go into perspective, and now I look at it, it seems like it's a lot better. Now I can better judge what the size of that tail really is, and this seems like a proper size of the tail in perspective. Alright, pretty good. Do a quick save, because I don't like doing things twice, which is why I do things in 3D. Um, and now this seems like a good start. I'm going to fill out the hands a little bit. Alright, we're back. And beforehand, I want to apologize for the audio. Hopefully it sounds better now, but before I was talking right into the mic and was completely unaware of it. But I checked it, and yeah, not going to be doing that anytime soon. So the first thing I do before I Dynamesh is I'm going to get this thing smooth. Give it an overall smooth once to smooth out the top part. Give it a second overall smooth. And that seemed to clear out most of it. Yeah, most of it's pretty cleared out. So give it a third smooth. And now I'm ready to Dynamesh it because it was like smoothing going on everywhere. And so now I'm able to, now I can work with it and and get it the way I want. So now we're going to Dynamesh and wait and wait. Right now I'm going to work on the hands now. Alright, so the best approach for me to do would be to, I'm going to insert, use the tube insert and insert fingers now. Alright, I'm going to have to go back into the tool and, you know, click on it to update it and change the brush size, turn that down some, up some. It's a good size. Alright, now that we have the proper brush size, that's one finger, and then I'm going to take a snapshot, click the snapshot button, and now that duplicated the finger over, and I'm going to move it so that it fits better, and then take one last snapshot and then move it in place for the thumb. And this saves time on trying to do this otherwise. So now I'm going to click on the empty space, hold Control, press W for the translate tool, hold Control Shift, and drag like a circular rotation until it clicks completely, and then I'm going to add a subdivision. But it doesn't look like it subdivided. Alright, it did subdivide, it just didn't add the smooth to it, so I'm going to make polish. And yeah, now that's smoothing it out. So that's another way of subdividing it without having to subdivide all your geometry. Now I'm going to take the mask away and do another Dynamesh. After that, then I'm just going to form the contours and stuff like that. The horns on the face, I'm not going to add those in until later, because I feel like it'd be easier if I did it without. Now I'm going to, start sculpting. Take this window out, don't need that, and just start sculpting, getting the form right. Do a quick save, make my brush size bigger, and just start going to town. Yep. It's good to get some exercise and stuff like that. I've been a little busy, preoccupied with school and stuff like that, but busy in a good way, you know? It's good to be busy. Just work on the fingers. I can always take this inside Sculptris and work on other smaller details and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, before I take this into, I'm going to, just before I take it into Sculptris, I'm going to add the horns. So I'm preparing this to take it inside Sculptris. I want to take this inside Sculptris because I can do more details without having to worry about Dynameshing and stuff like that. It's all a part of my workflow, my personal preferences for it. A lot of people don't use Sculptris, but I find that there's use for everything, and if you know, there's a tool, a use of a tool for everything. And this tool that I just used is a move elastic. I'm going to use that to pull this out, and getting a nice taper to it. Something like that you can't just get with a grab tool normally. And then I'm going to pull from the bottom really, and try and get that edge right there, and do the same thing on the other side. That's right. Move elastic tool is good for that, using to get the sides and general shapes. The front part of it looks like there's a bit of same thing going on there, but the best in the details of that we can do with different Sculptris. You can get the details of that. Just working on the fingers, working on the hands, getting that detail in there. Arm part seems pretty normal, so it's not too much changes we have to make there. Now I'm gonna turn down the brush intensity and start working on some of the details a little bit, just getting general form. Alright, seeing how his face is, and just the sculpting, looking at the lights, and how the image is lit, and just trying to see the form based on those, trying to judge the form and seeing how the form is based on the lighting of the cartoon. This is a method you can use to make 3D sculptures, and this without needing so many images. And then I'm going to use the Dynamesh standard tool to turn that down because it's too intense. Turn down the Dynamesh standard tool to get that crease inside the neck. Yeah, and then now smoothing that out, and yeah. And I'm going to use the flatten to flatten that out. I'm going to use Dynamesh standard again, smoothing it out. I'm going to use the flatten to flatten it out. Dynamesh standard to smooth it out. I never used the Dynamesh standard and the flatten tool like that before on a part like this, but it looks like it's working really great. I like it. Normally this is something that I would have done inside of Sculptris, but to get that shape. But it seems like it's doing pretty good with this. I'm just gonna pull out some more form here with the clay build tool. Yeah, to get that lip part. Just gonna use the normal tool to just pull out the lips a little bit. Yeah, pretty good. Alright, now I'm gonna use the Dynamesh standard to push the mouth in a little bit more. Right now I'm going to Dynamesh, but I'm not going to do a normal Dynamesh. I'm going to increase the resolution. I'm going to do a Dynamesh. And depending on how I'm feeling, I might not even take it inside of Sculptris. I just use ZBrush, because the ZBrush retopology process works better now, and it Dynameshes way better than it used to, and it handles the denser geometry, and it handles temperatures better than in the past. Technology is getting better, starting to progress, and I feel that they definitely upgraded big time. Dynamesh, groundbreaking. See, Now I have the geometry needed, a lot more geometry that I didn't have before. Alright, okay, we're back. It seems like every 10 minutes I have to redo, start on a new video recording. But so far things are looking pretty good. Things are looking pretty good. Alright. For the time being, I'm thinking I'm going to stick to ZBrush. Because it does a fairly good job, and you don't want to really work on tutorials with some cases it is good to switch between the two programs, but I think I can just stick to ZBrush for tutorials for now. Maybe if it was a personal project and I wasn't really talking and teaching during this this project, then I would do it, but I don't really feel like I have the need to right now. It's been a while. Sometimes I start inside Sculptris, sometimes I start inside ZBrush, but ZBrush really stepped the game up. Now I'm just filling in form with the clay buildup brush, just getting those form right. Pressing Alt to reverse the brush so that I can use it sort of like a flatten feature a little bit. And then I can always just go in and use the grab tool and then just shape those edges off, push them to the edges so that that I have better form. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, good. Alright, and with a smooth strong brush on, I can just quickly, might be a little too strong for this little bit of topology, but it's got it. Alright, now work on some of the detail in the eye. Probably gonna slow down and not work on the detail in the eye yet. Just work more on the contours. I'm gonna subdivide this whole entire thing more before I, or maybe even Dynamesh it again before I work on the details of the eye. Get more of that form in, and I'm gonna take a quick look at a different picture. That's a front shot of him. Front shot is okay, but I think I like the side view better. Front shot does show how thick some things are in special views you can't see. So for right now, I guess I'm just going to look at the front view, make my brush bigger, and basically just generally fill in some of the basic shapes of that aren't really suggested or shown too much in the other view. So just filling out the forms a little bit better right now, analyzing the form and the shapes and basically doing my best to fill them out as quick as possible. Now for his inner chest part piece. Masking off this part so that I can sculpt freely. Brush size is far too big to try and be masking anything seriously, but yeah, I'll just push this part in, then use the Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to add another Dynamesh. Okay, smooth that out. Yeah, you can clear the mask and basically pull it so that it's a better form. And his face is pretty wide, so I'm gonna fill that out more. Get more of that wide face in there. I'm gonna round off all this. There we go. Because I'm reading the shape that way in this shot. Yeah. And the top seems pretty flat. And work on the foot. Give some more form. Hide this part. I guess double-sided faces aren't really necessary if you are working on an object with no holes in it. So I'm going to take this off so that I can sculpt on the backside without having that in the way. So I can freely sculpt, like let's say from this angle, without having to worry about there we go. Out of the way. And then to do that I do Control Shift and then click in the space. And that gets rid of the geometry that's within it selected. Just gonna work more on the form here, getting those legs, make the brush smaller and just form the legs a little bit more, a little bit better. Get them out, make room for the toes. Gonna have to Dynamesh this thing again to get those toes out. Definitely gonna have to Dynamesh again. It's okay. Dynameshing is a good thing. It's still in production. Smooth that out. Smooth that out. Smoothing is easy and fun with the Smooth Strong tool. Smooth this out. After I use the clay build-up brush on it. I use the clay build-up brush often, and I use the Alpha 6 with the clay build-up brush. Working on its back, zooming out so that the smooth tool can be a little stronger. You see, even the smooth strong tool is starting to be an issue for small little gapes and crevices like this, but sometimes when it just seems to be too much, I just use the Trim Dynamics tool like I'm doing right now, and that seems to get those harsh details, and it really helps me carve this surface of this thing easy, really easy. And now when I smooth it, now it all works out much faster. It's all about production. How fast can you do it? I don't like how this back part is, so I'm going to you see, this more or less is my interpretation of this Pokemon, because I don't have all the views, because I didn't look for it. Normally I do the Pokemon in order, but I kind of had a dry streak about it lately, haven't really done Pokemon sculpts lately. I feel like I got what I needed from it doing the Pokemon sculpts. But alright, so we're back. I think I was talking about how I got what I needed from sculpting Pokemon. Yeah. I feel like I achieved the goal I was aiming for with sculpting Pokemon, but there's always room to grow. So, whenever I'm not too busy, I'll try to sculpt more. Because I know Pokemon isn't quitting and they're not stopping making Pokemon, so there's always more work to be done. And generally, I get a couple of requests in Pokemon to do this Pokemon or to do that Pokemon, but generally I respond more to people. I see what people have posted up. Like I respond, and I feel more willing to respond to people who posted up work on Facebook of things that they've done. And the person who asked me to do this, he had some pretty decent projects he put up, and so because of that, I felt happy to help. Yeah, even though he wasn't a ZBrush sculptor or anything like that, I figured this is a way to get two birds with one stone, get it in a video. And I think a lot of people like these talkthrough videos more than they like the speed sculpts, because they like to see the methods and the ways, and they like to see them up close. They feel it's too fast. The speed sculpts are too fast to try and learn anything from. Yeah, YouTube is a wonderful place to learn, and YouTube is kind of my way of giving back a little bit, whether it be with music and speed drawings or presentations of my work or something like that. It's a way of giving back for me to you, because because YouTube is how I learn how to do a lot, to have a lot of quick questions answered quickly, to learn about different softwares and stuff like that. YouTube is the website to thank for that. And I'm just getting in the general shapes of the belt, I would say. Looks like a belt. Pretty cool. I guess made that too low. Don't feel like deleting it, so I'm just gonna push that up and pull it out. Yeah, I don't think I made it too low. I think I made his leg too high, so I'm just gonna go in here and push that down. Yeah, because in this view it's too high. You see, I'm looking at the hips to see how far is it from the rest of the body, and just checking on the knees and adjusting the knees properly, because he has small knees, but I made him a little too big from the other image. And in this image looks a little bit more right when it comes to its proportion of his legs. Just looking at the hips. You see, because the hips don't lie. I couldn't resist. Funny joke. The hips don't lie. Yeah, just filling in the feet in those proportions, trying to work on them a little bit better. A lot of people work on the details and they get like a lot of the sculptures I see. They generally start working on the form, the eyes, and everything like that earlier on in the process. And when they do that, they look at the overall thing and say they're done, and they're all like, "Man, I didn't get that. I didn't get it. It doesn't look as good as I wanted to." You just have to know when to work on a thing, when to move to the next step, and a lot of that, and people say it comes with practice. It comes with restraint. You know, like right now, I want to add the nose. I wanted to add the horns. I want to add the horns for a long time now. But for planning, you have to know when. There's a time and place to add things, and now is not the time to add that yet. You see on the other picture, everything looked misproportioned, and on this one, everything seems bigger and more proportioned. I like this one better, so I'm going to do that one. I'm going to delete this. Yeah, I know, more work, but it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. General shape. Just going to do an overall outer part for now of the belt. Overall shape. Work on the back. I don't know if he definitely has it on the back. All right. Okay. And I'm going to use the turn down the Damian standard tool, and I'm just going to use that to basically work on these shapes for now. Turn it back up some. I'm not trying to be here all day. And yeah, seems like one. Can't really see what I'm doing because of the light right there. Alright, now I'm going to work on the back. From the front, those are the basic proportions, so I'm just going to get it right there. That seemed like the right proportions. I'm going to make these two, and then I'm going to try and focus on evening those proportions out, and then somehow making the proportions line up and connect. And when I say proportions, I mean like the width of each belt prism. Alright, it seems like I can fit like two more. 3 would be stretching it and changing it a little bit, but I think people aren't really looking at the middle section, so I can just use the grab tool and just shape the overall form and make everything fit and line up better. Yeah. Alright, change the brush size. Alright, I think I'm cutting it close by stretching this, but I think we can really get it to work nicely if I do. Stretch this out some, stretch the second one. You see, we're not caring too much about it looking right now, like the proportions and stuff like that. All right. I don't think I properly judged the length of his mouth, so I'm going to use the elastic brush to pull that out some, because I think it's more thick and his face is more inward now. I'm going to add the horn now. I changed my mind. So I'm going to use the insert sphere put that roughly right here, and use the move brush, pull it back some, pull it out, change the perspective to singular, and hold Alt and pull. And when I hold Alt, alright, when you pull on the middle, when you hold Alt and you pull on it, then you get the tip. So I'll push that down and I pull it out more, and then now we have more of a horn-like shape. Pull it out some more, not too much. Alright, that seems about right. And so now we're going to hold Alt, pull in the middle, hold Control, and pull in the middle, and we duplicated that now. I'm going to rotate it. Should be fine. I'm gonna pull that in there. It needs a little bit more rotation. The space in between seems about right, but the bottom part needs to. There we go. It needs to be pushed down more some. There we go. His eyebrow is a little bit too thick. So now we're gonna hold. Alright, we're gonna undo that. Alright. Now we fixed it. Now we just push that down in some more. Rotate it upwards. Alright. There we go. Snapped, and now this whole entire thing is selected. Now we're gonna move this down some. Push it in some. That feels about right. Push it down. There we go. Now we find that it's a little too close to the this guy, to his eyebrow. So I'm just gonna push that in. There we go. And now I'm going to add a circle to right here, and then I'm going to form it and shape it into his tooth. There we go. Select that. I'm going to scale it in some. Pull it out, rotate it, use the grab tool and push it in. I'm just gonna push it in some. Alright, I'm going to alright. Control Shift and click on it. Control Alt click. Trying to isolate this, but I guess the tooth is fine. Needs to be a little sharper, thinner. I'm just gonna push that in more and turn that, change the thickness of it. Use the grab tool, pushing that out some. There we go. Alright. Looks alright. Now we're going to duplicate this over 2 more times, and to do that you draw, and then you hold control, and then you pull on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it and shrink it in more. There we go. And then use the grab tool and hold control. Do it one more time. We're going to try and use the grab brush to just push that in there and get it the way we want it. Yeah. Now we're going to Dynamesh, but before we Dynamesh, we're going to do one special thing. We're going to add groups to the Dynamesh. So now that when we Dynamesh, it'll preserve. If I did it to the fingers, I might as well add toes too. So I'm just going to insert. Move it out some. Then afterwards I'd flatten out the tip of it. Now we're going to duplicate it over, move it, rotate it. Yeah, and then just use the grab tool and position it better. There we go. Looking better already. I'm just going to Control Alt and reverse the selection and pull that out some. Then just going to use the, oh no, I added this. Now because I added these as a new object, when I group it, it's going to when I Dynamesh group it, it's gonna keep these as separate groups too, and I don't want that as a separate group. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to hide this and hide this, and then I'm gonna have to split hidden. Take the groups off. I'm gonna split hidden. Split hidden. That's somewhere on the menu. Let me see if I can try and find it for you. Tools, and then you go to subtools, and then you go into split, and then you can do group split, just based on the group split by similar, split in parts, split mask points, or you can do merge. I don't know if I'm going to merge it together yet, but I know it is split right now. And then now that I took the groups off, let me just select the body. Then now that groups is cut off, I'm gonna it's two separate objects now, the toes and the body. And I'm gonna press Control grab to Dynameshing, and then when this is finished, it's all going to be one group, one object, one tool, and then we're going to work more on the form, and then we're cutting it pretty close to starting to work on the details in the form a little bit better. I'm just going to get in some details on. Alright, we're back. The Dynamesh has been completed, and it is now one object. Alright, so now I'm going to smooth out this bottom part. Use the clay build tool to make the transitions between the different limbs more appealing. There we go. Use the inflate brush to get these curved forms to more appropriate. Yeah. Now and smoothing this out. Then, yeah. Smoothing out the toes. Yeah, when I decide to add the eyes, then I'm going to, eyes are probably going to be the last thing I do. Just because it's in such a small area. Yeah. Guess I can do a slight indication. Just pulling it outwards. Because I knew that if I pushed it in, then it would wouldn't come out right. But now that I pulled it out, I think that's working better. Yeah. Now I'm gonna make the things on top of his head that look like headphones. It totally looks like headphones. Yeah, I'll work on that. Let me try something a little different. Alright. And then it's like one big piece, like. Alright. Let me see if I can get a different view. What that looks like, different angles. Nope. Looks like headphones every angle. Seems like a legitimate shot, but his tail is all wrong, so there's probably some fan art or something like that. Can't really use that. That looks neat. I like that. Alright. You know what, I'm just gonna go off and make the back part look like the front part. It's all the same. Alright. It seems like I made it too long. I'm just going to fix that in a different part because the side view looks like the back of the head. It stretches out too far back. So I'm just going to handle that a little as soon as I'm done with this. I'm just going to use the inflate liner to push this outward. It's a quick solution to get this form. Alright, things seem to be going a little slow, so I'm just going to try and pick up the pace a little bit. Alright, so I made the head. Now it's time to make that bottom piece. Cut it off there, cut it off here, cut it off here, cut it off here. Alright, fill that part in. And then I'm going to do the knee piece at the same time. Basic shape. And then cut it off, cut it off, cut it off. Quick general way to get the form out. I see there's another piece on this side. Boom. Okay. I think it might be near the top, but I'll just form it later. And yeah, okay. Gonna pull these out now. Right. Gonna flatten all these pieces out a bit. Using the trim dynamics tool. Alright, now I'm going to use that same process on here. It's going to leave a little bit of a mess, but I think this way is very effective and fast. So I'm going to do it. Okay. Alright. Well, I'm going to use the lasso tool and I hid parts of this so that I wouldn't, you know, like how that went behind it. I don't want to select back parts and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna keep showing and hiding different parts of the model until, okay. So I can mask lasso without having to worry about selecting back faces. Okay. Alright. That was wrong. Now I'm gonna hide this part off, and I think I can freely mask this off now. Alright. I'm going to show the whole entire thing and take that mask off. Alright. Also remove this mask that's here. Alright. Alright. Now it's time to make sure everything is masked off. I don't want any surprises. Alright. Now, gotta draw that out. Yeah. Inflate. Pushes it out. That thickness is pretty good. And now I'm going to group by mask and clear mask. Now if I control shift click this area, the belt is hidden. Now I can hide this part and use the mask lasso to pull out horn shaped parts that I can again extrude. Alright, that's 2 so far. And then it's because of the symmetry why I have to hide everything. And I'm gonna alright, get this side. Now mask off this area. Alright. Almost done. Could have did better on that one. Alright. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to pull these things out. Alright. Now we got that taken care of. Now I believe I'll do the same method on his. I think I will take this into Sculptris just to clean it up, you know, make it look more nice, more spiffy. So now I'm going to flatten this area out because I'm going to redo it with this new method that I learned. Hard surface. Should treat it as such, and this method is good for hard surface. Okay. Alright. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to take care of this, and depending on how I feel, I may or may not do the arms in Sculptris or in here. Because, you know, it's like flat on one part and the other part. So I'm just going to first off round this out and make it smoother, so when I inflate it, then it won't inflate on a different axis. So I'm going to make my brush size bigger, use the clay builds tool, and then just work on this area right here so that the form lines up better. I'm going to make a big bulge, and then I'm just going to use the trim dynamics tool. Yeah. There we go. Good stuff. Alright. Almost done. A few more strokes. Got it. Alright. Now we're gonna get the shoulder piece out. But it seems like it's all connected, so maybe I just have to I don't want a rectangle, I'm going to use a lasso and just get this area. And then now I'm going to use the lasso for this area. Alright. Undo. Undo. What I was trying to do was mask off this half. Alright. Now I'm going to make this. And pull it out. See how thick that is. Oops, I see that on the side we got. Oh no, that was just this side. Alright. And then his top part seems to be one. Alright. Alright. Let me. Yeah. Undo that. Alright, now we're gonna reverse the selection and inflate that once again. Alright. Then use the grab tool and, you know, form it. Make it look nice. Show everything. Do a quick save. It's really starting to come out. Really starting to come along. Alright. Seems like he could use a little bit more. Some more build around this area. Alright. That's good. Alright. Now I think I'm just going to take it inside Sculptris and work on it there for the rest of it. Not for the rest of it, I'm going to take it back here and I'm going to draw on it again. And that almost made me forget I'm supposed to round off his head a bit more. You know, it's not so thick. This character doesn't really have any back shots of himself, so had to do what I could. I think this turned out pretty good. Still have to extrude. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to take this inside Sculptris. You know what? I'm going to I'm definitely gonna merge the horns and the teeth, especially for Sculptris. All right. Go into the subtools, go down to merge, then click merge down, and click OK. All right. Now we want to. Now what we want to do is we want to decimate this thing, so when we take it inside, and when we go Z it inside of Sculptris, it doesn't crash on us. Pre-proceed current, that's the first thing you do, is you pre-proceed it. And what that does is it reads the whole entire mesh, and it sees how far down you have to take it before it can take it down a lot of different levels. And yeah, I always Dynamesh before I take it inside Sculptris, because oftentimes it's gonna crash. I'm not even gonna try it now without it, because look how dense the geometry is. Yeah, it's really dense. If you take all this geometry inside of Sculptris, it's definitely gonna crash. You can't handle all of that. Well, it probably could handle this right here, but it's gonna lag and it's gonna be slow, and we don't want that. Oh no, I pre-proceeded this before I Dynameshed it. That's bad. Alright, it's not bad. All I have to do is I'm gonna take it up some more notches so that it reads better in the Dynamesh. Subdivide, so that we can get the horn smooth. Control D. Subdividing geometry. Alright, now it's subdividing. Alright, now I'm going to take up the resolution, and then gonna Dynamesh. There we go. Oh, that looks terrible. It's a poor job. Alright, we're gonna have to take this resolution up a lot higher. Take it up to maximum. Waiting on that Dynamesh. We'll know it's done. It'll show the circle. Alright, we're back, and that took a lot longer than I expected. But let's test out the... Now that's what you call dense geometry. But it's perfect, because this is what we're going to transfer into Sculptris, and we're going to sculpt on. The thing I love about Sculptris is the fact that this same mesh would look the exact same way it does look now, but it wouldn't be so dense. And if I wanted to, I can sculpt right here and get the detail that I want without having to worry about that. ZBrush does not have this feature. But what it does have, it does have Go Z. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decimate this. What we're going to do is we're going to decimate this, and we're going to see how low we can take this without losing any detail. And after we do that, we're going to take it inside Sculptris. We're going to finish off all the details, and thanks to the fact that Sculptris does subdivide around the areas of detail, we're going to have just what the detail we need to paint this bad boy. Give it a quick turnaround and call it a wrap. As you see right now, it's analyzing the mesh, and that takes a while. It takes a bit of time, and hopefully it won't take too much time. I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a fun thing to touch up and give detail to. I find that if you can't afford ZBrush, Sculptris is very, very good. The tools work well, and they do what they say they do. Is very straightforward. the interface. It's very easy to navigate. People find ZBrush a little hard to use to navigate with, but that seems like that's mostly the biggest obstacle for people to try and remember, is to navigate around the interface, and once you do that, you'll be set. ZBrush was like the first software I learned how to use. I feel pretty much at home with ZBrush. I've been using ZBrush for 8 years now. So all those who are attempting to make this same sculpt, I really hope that you wouldn't beat yourself up over the fact that you may not be at this level yet, because if you are, when you do get to this level, I'm sure it'll be a lot sooner than 7 years or 8 years. You'll be much better than me because you're having the tips and tricks that I didn't have. So here's looking forward. Alright, we have it currently at this dense level. We can't even see polygons at this level. Can't even see polygons at this level. We're zooming in, and we're barely starting to see polygons. We're going to have to zoom in pretty far before we can see them. Alright, we're trying to get it to where it's not so dense, where the mesh doesn't change colors when it gets far back. You see how it flips from that color to this color. We want it to be one consistent color, meaning it's not so dense. It's 20% right now. Now we're going to decimate it and see how it looks. Alright, it has no change in it, and that's good. So we're going to take it down to 5%, decimate it again, and we still have no change. That's good. We're going to take it to 2% and decimate it. Still has no change. It still looks the exact same, but when I move around, it's super fast. No lagging. You know why? Because when I look at the geometry now, it's very low. Very low. This seems like a good time to take it inside of Sculptris. This is very low. It's very good. I think we can be satisfied with these results. I don't think we have to take it down any further. 2.5% turned out to be just what we needed. Alright, we're going to delete caches, which means if I turn it up or turn it down, it's not going to work anymore. We want that. Alright, we're going to do a quick save. Then now I will say hasta la vista, and we'll take this down to Sculptris. Alright. Just press the Go Z button right now. My default Go Z software is Sculptris, so I can expect that it'll launch that. The file saved to the disk successfully. Normally when I do this, I listen to music. I'm not right now. Obviously it's a tutorial and I have to stay focused. You can't really be singing right now, you know. Alright, so now we're waiting for Sculptris to launch. Not launching yet. Maybe it's waiting. You know, it still has that loading sign right now, so we just have to wait it out. Hello. Alright, so we're back and we've launched Sculptris, and now we're about to get started. Okay, I see that my axis is off. This is the front view, and we're gonna have loads of trouble if it's not in the proper view, so we're just gonna take this and we're going to pay our respects and give a little bow. Alright, I think we're gonna have to go the other way because it was down before. So now if we go back, then it'll be the right way. And now I'm going to go do that again. And now it's facing the right way. Alright, but it seems to be not exactly the right way, so I'm going to, there we go. Seems pretty straight. I'm just gonna go see that. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Alright, from this point on, I'm going to export. And just a little reinsurance. I'm going to save it to the desktop as a, you know, because Sculptris sometimes crashes. So, yeah. This is just so that it doesn't crash. If it does crash, then we don't lose anything. Alright, now, before I get started, I'm going to turn on the symmetry. And now the symmetry is on. And now it's time to get started. Alright. I use the crease tool right now. I'm using the crease tool. I plan on okay. A quick note, when you do use all the tools and stuff like that. Alright, so we're back. Just gonna try and, you see, because before the first mark that I made on here subdivided and like smoothed everything out and it made it look weird, but I went to a plane that was already smooth and I started doing some line work on here, and it pretty much didn't have that effect. So that was a way around it, and I just learned it. Press space to change the brush size, and turn up the subdivision. Alright. Feels a little foreign, the software. I don't know, it feels like it's not working all the way right. Alright. Guess I'll turn up the subdivisions and turn up the brush size. There we go. I'm just gonna reduce the overall shape. Probably not a good idea yet. Work on this eye a bit more. Just work on the details. There we go. That looks like an eye. All right. Just working on the eye, flattening this out. Smooth that out. Turn up the strength. There we go. It was the strength, the low strength, that made it feel weird. But I turned it up. Now it's feeling a lot better. Now I don't even have to have that, in the quality so high. Yep, that's all I needed to do. Just turn up the strength. It's a little jaggediness happening around here. Smoothing that out. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the back horn with this horn. Start out by smoothing it, and then just going in there and giving it a little. Alright, but we're back. Yeah, starting to get annoying. I'm gonna search to get a screen recording software. All the other free ones that I get they don't work right with the software, either ZBrush or it doesn't work with the computer screen I have. So I'm just gonna search one to see which one I could find, because I'd be a lot more encouraged to do more videos if I didn't have to deal with this problem. So I'm just going to do some research. If you guys have any tips or anything that you recommend for screen recording softwares that I can get or purchase, I would appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, that's coming out. It's looking pretty nice. Just smoothing out these parts a little bit. Alright. And give this a little smooth. There we go. Alright. Try the pinch brush out. Pinch brush does alright, but I don't use it too much. I'm just trying it out here. Which areas do I need to work on? Just fill out the form in these parts, I guess. And the arms, I definitely have to work on the arms. This some clay build here, some details. Alright. Alright, about 9 minutes later, this is how far in I got. So, I'm going to, it's about time to wrap this up and get it ready for ZBrush. And I know that when I take it to ZBrush, it's going to show the geometry. So it's best that I subdivide the geometry in more parts, so that when I take it over, it's not so, you know, I should just gonna click subdivide all, and it didn't crash. That's good. And then now I'm going to take it back into ZBrush. Alright, just make a few more adjustments. Okay, I'm gonna say this first. It's lagging big time. You know, if I'm not gonna do anything else to it, I'm just gonna take it into ZBrush. I might as well just do it now. Go Z. And now it's updated with the changes. And yeah, now I can work on it without having to worry about it crashing. Do a quick save. I'm just going to smooth those areas I wanted to smooth before. And without having to worry about it crashing. Alright. It's working pretty fast, fairly fast. Alright, so now we're going to start with the coloring process. Seems to be around I'll settle for this. Now I'm going to fill object. It's pretty much this color, you know. Gonna pick the standard brush, turn off Z add and turn on RBG, change the brush size, and then I'm going to find a gray color for it. I'm gonna fill in that horn. There we go. And I got it. I'm just going to subdivide this whole thing one time and hope it doesn't crash. Didn't crash. Now I'm going to click save, and then I'm going to go to polish crisp edge. Hopefully that's going to polish this thing out, but keep it looking nice. The edges was. It's going to take about 6 seconds. Didn't really see a change, so I'm just going to alright. Just going to relax a little bit. Alright, hopefully it's not going to crash. If it doesn't crash, we're going to continue on to the painting process, forgetting about trying to make it smooth. Alright, so we are back. It totally crashed on me. That's okay. That's why I always do quick saves. I don't always save, but I always do quick saves. Alright, with the standard brush we're gonna turn it back on the RGB so we can paint with it. These colors are fairly, you know, so I'm just gonna give it an alpha of this so that it doesn't, so it has a strong, you know, fall off point, because like all the colors here are basically, you know, there's no blend between them. It's just like one solid color. And that's also good when it comes to, you know, practicing stuff. Dang it. Undo. Cancel. Please don't crash. Okay. I'm pressing escape. Alright, don't crash. Just don't crash. Don't crash. Alright, this is a tip. When you're in ZBrush and you don't want to Dynamesh anymore, make sure you turn that button off, because if you have it on, it's a good chance you're gonna end up, you know, Dynameshing when you don't want to. Dynameshing something that's very dense, and yeah, you don't want to do that, so you got to make sure you Dynamesh. And I wanted to originally draw a mask around, lasso mask with the pen tool, but I didn't. There we go. And I'm going to reverse that mask. And then I'm going to fill object. And this is a very quick way to fill in form. It's a very quick way to fill in form. Close the mask. See if there's any more areas that I have to do the hand with. Gotta redo this tool, make it a lasso, circle fill that in, so now I can mask off these areas without having to worry. And then reverse that selection and fill colors. Now the feet. Alright. Reverse it. Alright, and then fill the color. Excuse me. Alright, he also has his neck that he has. It's kind of hard to see right here, but yeah, I'm gonna go in there and gonna give that a fill too. Alright, I think that's everything. I might as well go in and the rest of the colors too. Alright, for the orange, it's like a reddish orange, a little dark. It's good. Yeah, then I'll do a fill object, show everything. And I should do a quick save. Yeah, that quick saved me from having to redo the whole thing. Alright. Now it's a little bit more focused, so I'm going to mask this and then mask all that. You see how all that was there? All that was because it was extra left over from that one little area that I masked off. That's why I do it twice. Make sure I get everything. And then I'll mask this off and undo that, reverse the mask, and then fill it. That's why I go through all that trouble before I choose to fill the mask, because you know, you don't want to have different colors everywhere. You want it to be like very controlled. Take this mask off. Just make sure I'm checking everything before I just... Okay, reverse. And now I'm going to fill object. Alright. Now for the belt. You know what, I'm just gonna draw in that right there. Might be quicker to just draw it in instead of doing all that extra stuff. Yeah. Now I'm going to do the belt now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just pressing V so that I can switch the brushes. I'm not really trying to go back a second round and rotate the camera. It's gonna take longer, so I'm just doing it this way, and hopefully I'd save. Alright, I basically finished the belt. Here's the belt. I'm gonna do the mouth and the eyes and the teeth and then the eyes, and then after that I'm going to after that I'm gonna do a touch up, you know, the detailed work. For the general, you know, I'll do it in a big size. That's kind of like hard to manage, and then I'll shrink it down even smaller and get the detail area. Yeah. You press C so that you can use so you can pick up the color from where your mouse is hovering over. It's very comes in handy. It's very quick. Now with the smooth tool, you press shift for smooth, but I'm going to press shift and spacebar and take off the Z add so that I can smooth out the colors. That's a little bit too smooth, so I'm going to try and skim it and go over it quicker. That's better. It's bleeding out a little bit, but it's not hard to fix. There we go. It just looks better. Alright, now I'm just going to take down the Z intensity and for the smooth, so that next time the bleed isn't so strong. Alright, now to get the eye, I'm going to start off with a black layer and just fill in the black, and then I'm gonna reverse the mask and fill object, remove the mask and go in there with my brush and clean up the edges. Yep. Now I'm gonna smoothen it out, smoothen the edges out a little bit better so it's not so harsh. You know, don't want the edges to be too harsh. And then his eye looks like it's the same color as this, so that's what I'm gonna use. And make the brush size bigger, and then just draw. Alright, I'm going to take this brush intensity down way much and do that. Take it down even more to 1. 1 should do the trick. Alright. And take it back up again. Turn the brush size down. And fill that in. There we go. Now basically all I'm gonna do is fill in the outline and make sure everything looks nice and lined up texture wise. I won't cut it off now, but if it but if the video cuts, then I'll just show you the final results. As a matter of fact, I'll just show you the final results because it's just basic. It's tedious work now when it's just going to be me lining it up like this and then just drawing lines. Alright, you guys can tell me in the comments and descriptions below if you want that for any future videos, but for now I'm just going to cut to the Hi. So working on I worked on it a bit, and I realized that the tail, just now, after finishing all of um, the painting and the texturing, I realized that the tail was not actually flat. It's like a boulder. It just looked so in that frame to me. But I made the corrections, and yeah, here is the final product. So I guess we're gonna do a quick 360-degree turntable and call it a day. But that's typically this pretty covered a lot of the tricks that I use to model a character, and it should be enough to get you started on problem solving, because that's what all of this basically is. It's problem solving, how to different ways to create shapes. Everything is shapes. It's just different ways to create shapes. How to create a circle, how to create a triangle, how to create a square. It's all just shapes. And if you better learn how to manipulate shapes, the better your characters will come out. And there are also different planning procedures that you have to wait for, like how I had to wait to create the horn after a certain amount of time of doing the face and everything like that. You just have to be prepared with the different shapes. And yeah, so thank you. And now I will go into movies. Wait, first I have to get him set up. Make sure he's rotated properly. Yep. Alright, now go into movies and turntable. There he is, folks. That's the moneymaker. Alright. It took me about two hours. The big stuff always takes me 2 hours. It's the simple, small creatures that take me roughly an hour or so. So thank you for your time, and have a nice day.